My legs were injured by Leon. 6 months ago, my younger brother, Bat, had a dare with Regina. A dare? An absurd dare. If I can put my head inside of Leon's mouth like you do, you have to go to the movies with me on a date. That's insane. Didn't he know how dangerous that is? Couldn't he have just, done it an easier way? Like, hey, I bet you I get fucking heads on this coin flip. You have to go on a date with me. Like, what? Fuck that dare. We all thought he was being stupid, too. Yeah, if you're being stupid and put your head in a lion's mouth, you kind of deserve what happens. But that lion was very old to begin with. And age brought with it countless experience in doing that very trick. Unfortunately, this particular time, I guess Leon wasn't ready or willing. I don't want someone sticking their head in my mouth. And that's when the accident happened. He just wanted to take her out, to the movies. Poor Bat. He could have just asked her out. When Leon chomped down, I jumped towards him. Then Leon attacked me, and that's how I ended up. What about Bat? He's in a coma. He's still in a coma. I went to the hospital yesterday to visit him. I see. I'm still waiting for him to open his eyes again. And that's the reason why I keep going. Bat and Regina. They were such great friends. Oh yeah, I wanted you to take a look at this. What is it? This is the scarf my brother was wearing when Leon attacked him. Gross, it's covered in blood. This scarf was a present from Regina to my brother on the day of the accident. When he did it, he looked like he was smiling. He? Leon, obviously. What? When he bit down on Bat's head, the expression on Leon's face looked like a grin. Nick, I know, Mo said the same thing. What do you think it all means? I'll be taking that scarf if you don't mind. Oh. Whoops. Von Karma? I've already heard everything, so I hand over the scarf. But the scarf is evidence in the trial. That is for me to decide. I think we should begin our preparations now, Acro. Preparations? I've served a summons on Acro to appear in court tomorrow as a witness. Acro, we'll talk more at the prosecutor's office. Acro, witness? Come, Acro. Let's go to the office. Yes, ma'am. Now what do we do, Nick? How are we going to handle tomorrow? Don't worry about it. I'll figure something out. Look at you all full of confidence. You must have found something you can use. This is all beginning to come together now. But yeah, Acro did it. There's no way he didn't. Full confidence that he did it. District Court Lobby number 5. Good morning, Max. Oh yeah, good morning, sweeties. Don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Tee-hee. Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Regina? How fabulous, my sweetie pie princess. You came to watch my performance today? Of course I did. Mo told me that I should come and watch this. Mo said that. So what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end. It's not that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on. Or even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience. Fabulous! Enjoy yourself out there. Good luck, Max. You're the best. Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Top of the morning to you. Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go? Mo. Top of the morning to you, governor. Top of the morning. What's the ticket? That's the ticket. Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. Oh my, thank you. So how are you today, right? Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm going to face off against the real criminal. You mean Acro? Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line, literally. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means that I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you going to do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today we rely on evidence. If it's the only way we'll get past Acro and to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Anyway, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. You want us to make sure Regina watches? Yes, that's why I brought her here to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. Whatever works. The court is now in session into the trial of Maximilian Galactica. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case. The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events. What's the meaning of this? We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say new witness. Eyewitness. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime. Order! I had a feeling something like this would come up. Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night, an explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. Very well, please call your witness to the stand. Time to get to work, or shall I say, time to walk the courtroom tightrope. Name and occupation. Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at Very Big Circus. Where were you on the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. The room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. What you witnessed. It was just after 10 p.m. I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. If you saw him from behind, then you don't know it's Max Galactica. The witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. If that's the case, there is very little the prosecution need add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared in the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix, right? Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth did. Low blow. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened. Very well, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Whatever floats your boat, buddy. You said that you were resting in bed. One would thus assume that you turned the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodging house. It's so bright sometimes it can make it hard to sleep. If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close some curtains? I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains. Ha ha! Sometimes I do make myself useful in these chambers. Oh! The witness will now proceed with his testimony. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. Oh, why didn't I press? I just got too wrapped up in you. Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed? That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside. I was indeed. Pressing acro doesn't seem to get results. Maybe something was contradicting what he said. There is? There's a huge contradiction in what that testimony that was just given. Is there? There's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of a contradiction? Fuck. No. What in the world is this? Ow. You just don't get it, do you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Well, what don't I get? You're not going to be able to get through this one with your usual bluff routine. Your client looks to be ready to take off once again, straight towards a guilty verdict. You were bluffing? I will not forgive any more mockeries made of this court. Whoops. Witness, do you mind repeating your testimony? Certainly. Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin or perhaps a large action figure. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is quite plausible. You have no need to mince words with Mr. Phoenix Wright. Testify to the truth and only the truth, just as if we were there with you that night. I believe it was a human. Damn, I just strengthened his testimony. Wonder if Acro's statement drives with the facts. Nothing wrong. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Nothing, Your Honor. Until I can find a clear contradiction, I should tread lightly. There's Max Galactica. The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true. I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window. The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see. But honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front. Did you see any of the other symbols? I clearly saw the silk hat as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. I'm convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica. The more I press and the less results I seem to get. But maybe there's something fishy with this last bit. Yeah. There is. The hat was left at the scene. There's a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given. If there's a contradiction, then prove it. She's right. Do you have any evidence? This hat was left at the scene. You claim to have seen the exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by the window. Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame because you would have noticed the silk hat was found on the scene of the crime. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat. Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has two silk hats? No, he only has one. No, this is a handmade one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica, which means Acro. That you've been fibbing on the stand. Order, order. Like always, someone has to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth, and now I have to back it up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury on court today? He has a drug. Acro is the real culprit. Your Honor, on this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion? Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of? Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry. Mr. Wright, are you serious? Deadly serious, Your Honor. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to remember how to try and grab in an audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book. Really? If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. He's calm enough for it to be almost scary. Ouch. He's staying rather calm and collected. Mr. Dingling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation? I don't really need to say a thing, do I? What do you mean? Everyone take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house. That's true. I understand that Mr. Wright is trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of murder of all things. See, even a sliver of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous. She's right, way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Phoenix is a poopy head. See that, Mr. Phoenix Wright? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning to make a claim to counter this as well. I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice. What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice? Of course he didn't. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Von Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one. What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright? There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself. Order! What are you getting at? Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm going to have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. How can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? It's gotta be the chest. I mean, I think that's the easiest way to nail him down. I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright then, let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright. If this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right? Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling? He was in his room. He's obviously here the entire time. That's Acro's room. Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself, so obviously he's gonna have to stay in the lodging house. There's only one answer to that. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What, are you nuts? What say you, Mr. Dingling? It's an interesting theory. That's it. Considering what you proposed is impossible, yes, that is it. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? As a witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there is no way he could go to the scene to be the killer. You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. No, he was already dead. That thing. Mo said that he saw Max, didn't he? But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How'd he do it? That's the next course of his legit legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here... She's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster. And he killed the ringmaster while he's in his room. No doubt about it. Time to enlighten us how Dingling committed the murder crime. Mr. Wright. I'm going to present some evidence. What did Mr. Dingling use to commit the crime of the murder against Russell? He obviously used this giant wooden box. I think you should try again, especially before someone gets the chance to say something. Yeah, you're probably right. So as I was saying, this piece of evidence... Stop, wait! I say, before you start over, you must be penalized. Oh, okay, fuck you. Oh, he got me. If you don't put an end to this funny business, I've got a few more ideas. I'm going to present some evidence. What did Mr. use to commit the crime of the murder against Russell Barrett? Let's try that. Because that thing's still missing. What's that, a picture? It is indeed. The problem is that the item that's shown in this picture, the bust, it's quite a large bust. And because it is a life size, it is also very, very heavy. Heavy? Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death, especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. Ah! I just figured he dropped the fucking box on him. And then he had a rope attached to the end of it and hoisted it up. He had a nice cape attached to it and a hat, and I didn't read that. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactica's ample bust. Bust. Order! So you're saying the bust fell onto the ringmaster? A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit. How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible. Well, Acro is an acrobat. You should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like the bust. You only have to put it in your lap, too. Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges? Well, Acro is at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting closer to the truth. Well, over out, Acro. You can't run away. Ah! I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself. Testimony, you say? Oh, karma. She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall for time. There's absolutely no need for such testimony. The defense has its version of the murder. The prosecution has the right to respond. The defense's objections overruled. Why can't he see things my way once in a while? Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but you need to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony. The witness will have no problem, however. Let's all be respectful towards him. Thank you. Ugh, that woman will sink to any low to win a case. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of the bust. I have a stronger upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location the ringmasters had. Thus, it would have been unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? You had it strung up. I have no doubts in regard to the witness's testimony. It was impossible for him to lift in the bust and carry it over to the window. Not to mention that he could not have known the location the ringmasters had. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries. That's what I was thinking. What is your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright? I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. I can't let her get to me. I've got to focus. Have you ever lifted up the bust before? No, I've never actually lifted it up on my own two hands. I should get to it. Don't you think? I can't let money on outdo me on this. Money? That crazy monkey has lifted Max's bust before. Please continue with your testimony, Mr. Dingling. That's the fucking answer. The monkey carried it up there for him. It was holding it in place. He told the monkey to drop it on its fucking head. I have a strong upper body. How were you injured? So what have you been doing to keep in shape? Well, honestly, I've given up on training. I don't have any plans to return to the trapeze or the tightrope. You don't say. But no offense, I'm not worried about losing to you in a race or anything. Neither am I, Mr. Phoenix Wright. I wouldn't lose either, Slowpoke. I mean, Nick. What? How did this discussion turn to me all of a sudden? I suppose you could say that I'm stronger than the average bear. And why is that? Because if I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. I still haven't gotten much feeling back in my legs yet. So you couldn't have thrown that bust out the window. How long do you think your recovery will take? You have to remember that the nerves were severed. I'm currently undergoing some extremely intensive rehab. But it's still going to take a while before I'm back to 100%. Let me remind you of another very important point. If the witness was carrying the bust, he would not be able to see out below the window. Why do you say it would be impossible? Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see out below the window? Thus, there's no way that I would have known the location the ringmasters had. Well, I suppose you've got a point. Hey, Nick? What if you turn things around? Maybe if you think of it sort of like this. If he knew the location the ringmaster's had, then he could have dropped the bust. That makes sense. If only I could prove somehow. Yeah, the note. That Acro knew the location the ringmaster's had without looking down. I think I've already explained things sufficiently. Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and bust him. Damn it. Acro is strong enough to lift up the bust. The main problem is how he could have aimed at the ringmaster's head. I wonder if he used some kind of tool to aim for the ringmaster. That's the ticket, Nick. Show them what you've got. I have to be careful. I have to find something that fits perfectly with the case. I don't remember us finding any sort of tool. But maybe we overlooked something. No, it's just the note.